Nicolas Cage's upcoming thriller is exactly what I was hoping for as a follow-up to his record-breaking horror movie. In 2024, Nicolas Cage starred in a new psychological thriller called The Surfer, and now that the trailer is finally out, I couldn't be more excited about this new role. Since the 1980s, Cage has been a notable Hollywood star, appearing in an impressive number of movies, all of which vary intensely in terms of genre and form. Most recently, Cage starred in the Oz Perkins horror movie, Longlegs, where he played a diabolical and horrifying serial killer. Because of this incredibly creepy role, I'm pumped to see Cage return to his spooky self in The Surfer. In Longlegs, Cage plays Dale Longlegs Cobble, a man who systematically kills young girls over the course of decades. While serial killers are inherently scary, Cage brings a new sense of horror to his character due to his disconcerting prosthetics, pale white face, and the strange voice he uses. There are countless moments in that movie where Cage's mere presence sent a shiver down my spine. As a result, I am desperate to see Cage in more horror roles, and his latest project seems to be a really strong fit. The Surfer looks like a wild follow-up to Nicolas Cage's role in Longlegs. Set to release on May 2, 2025, The Surfer is a psychological thriller that follows a man simply known as the Surfer. After returning to his hometown in Australia after making a new life in America, the Surfer is embarrassed in front of his son by a group of surfers. Angry and looking for revenge, the Surfer remains at the beach and intends to wage war against the other surfers. Eventually, the conflict rises to a horrifying degree, forcing the Surfer to the brink of what he is willing to do. Based on the premises, the Surfer seems completely unlike Longlegs. There's no obvious horror to it, and the Surfer himself seems far off from Longlegs. However, after watching the trailer, it is clear that The Surfer is no simple family drama. This movie looks like it is bursting with tension, and Cage will be at the absolute center of it. Though he appears to be a fairly regular guy, Cage will be able to show completely different sides to the Surfer that could be just as troubling as in Longlegs. The Surfer already has an impressive score on Rotten Tomatoes. One especially exciting aspect of The Surfer is that it already has strong critical reviews. After being released at the Cannes Film Festival in 2024, the movie earned a strong 88% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Reviewers have praised the film for its unique themes of toxic masculinity and localism, tied up into a high-stakes thriller. Furthermore, Cage has been appreciated for his performance, which may just be the best of the year. Overall, The Surfer is exactly what I'm looking for from Cage. Over the years, Cage has proven his ability to be a hero, a class clown, and a villain, but I am craving these more unorthodox, bizarre roles. Arguably, it is what he's best at, and what generally does well with critics and audiences. Because of this, I cannot wait to see Nicolas Cage in The Surfer. Nicolas Cage has been on a movie hot streak this decade. Another reason I'm so excited for The Surfer is simply because of Cage's track record over the past decade. Of course, anyone who works as much as Nicolas Cage does is bound to have some flops and misses here and there, and Cage certainly has had a few of those in recent years. Jiu-Jitsu, for example, was a low-budget mess, and Renfield failed to strike at the box office despite its impressive cast. But even those misses have been great in their own way. Jiu-Jitsu isn't a high-quality movie, but I thought it was definitely entertaining. And horror comedy Renfield deserved far better than it got in theaters, judging from it becoming a respectable hit on streaming. But even those underrated movies are rare for Cage in the past decade, which has mostly been full of incredible art house movies and bangers. I was so glad to see Pig turn it around for Cage in 2021 and remind people that he was a legitimate Oscar contender, and he hasn't stopped, with Cage doing movies like The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, Dream Scenario, and Snowden under his belt. Of course, none of that would have been possible had Cage not first found a career renaissance in sometimes thought-provoking, sometimes bizarre, always over-the-top indie horror movies, working with some of the best directors in the genre. Of course, none of that would have been possible had Cage not first found a career renaissance in sometimes thought-provoking, sometimes bizarre, always over-the-top indie horror movies, working with some of the best directors in the genre. Just look at a few of his horror/thriller titles in the past decade: Mandy, Color Out of Space, Willy's Wonderland, Arcadian, and, of course, Longlegs. And we have to give him props for his voice work in the groundbreaking Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse franchise. That's a decade any actor would kill for. Luckily, Cage shows no signs of slowing down. Nicolas Cage's other upcoming movies. The Surfer is incredibly intriguing, but I'm also keeping my eye on Cage's other upcoming movies because there are a few exciting projects on the horizon. Of course, there's Spider-Man Beyond the Spider-Verse, and it will be great to see Cage's Spider-Man Noir return. He proved so popular that he's even getting his own spin-off Spider-Noir TV series. In a more dramatic turn, I'm fascinated to see how Nick Cage tackles playing the titular sports legend in the upcoming John Madden biopic Madden. It's not a role I'd associate with Cage, but he's proven he's a chameleon who can sink into any role, so it will be really fun to see how he tackles it. And considering David O. Russell is the director, it may find Cage looking at another Oscar nomination. The same goes for his turn in The Prince, the movie about addiction and transformation inspired by Hunter Biden. But I'm glad to know that Cage isn't abandoning horror and still intends to take daring risks in the genre. French-American historical horror movie The Carpenter's Son sounds bonkers and right up Cage alley. And yes, I can admit I had a good chuckle at the reports that Cage was swarmed by a horde of bees in one of the caves in which they were filming. It's very on brand. And I also can't forget Lords of War, the upcoming sequel to Cage's 2005 hit, Lord of War. Even if The Surfer isn't the fascinating flick I hope it is, I have faith that it will be another good decade for Nicolas Cage. For decades, Nicolas Cage has been a pillar of Hollywood, but for the first time ever, the actor is making a massive career change that could be the start of an awesome new era. Nowadays, Cage is best known for projects like National Treasure and Longlegs, but the actor first got his start in 1982 with a minor role in the teen comedy Fast Times at Ridgemont High. Since then, he has taken on an impressive number of diverse movie roles. However, as much as Cage movies are beloved, his upcoming TV project could be even better. In the age of streaming, it is quite common for actors to appear in both TV and movies. Regardless of where they start off, actors will often transition into the other format eventually, and more often than not, they thrive on this new platform. Some strong examples include Nicole Kidman, Reese Witherspoon, and Matthew McConaughey. Cage is one of very few actors who have remained firmly in the film industry. But now that he is dipping his toes into television, he could unlock a whole new side of his career that could make him even more popular. Spider-Noir will be Nicolas Cage's first time leading a TV show.